So boring. Andy Cairns, they were so lucky. Atalanta hit post. Embarrassing that everyone's saying how good a result it is when they get absolutely battered. This one
but
as well.
doesn't it just contradict himself there? Embarrassing saying what a good result it was when they get absolutely battered. That's the whole point. It was a brilliant result. Yes, they were getting battered 0-0 in the first half, but that's what you've got to look for that. And that, I think that just is probably a Rangers fan that's a bit fed up. But you've got to celebrate these achievements when you get them. And we talked last night about how much the players would have loved being involved in that performance and digging it out, the grit, the desire, the camaraderie. That's a brilliant thing for a player to be involved in. And I remember on one of Walter Smith's European runs, bring him up again, the night that Rangers went to Germany, I think it was Wolfsburg, and Al McGregor just turned in one world-class save after the next. It was breathtaking stuff, and they were fighting and they were scratching and they hardly get a kick of the ball. And, they'd be lucky if they managed to string 5 passes together at any phase in the game. But they came off that pitch absolutely thrilled. And they were given the credit for it as well, because, sometimes when you're up against better quality, you have to find a way to survive. And Celtic deserve praise for doing exactly that.
Mm-hmm. Dennis Mirren in the comment section, as I go directly at us, says it's their first point away from home in 7 years. The way Daily Record are acting, you would think they won the Champions League last night. If Rangers play like they did, the Record would crucify us. I mean, the reason why I'm putting these up, Keith, is because I actually think it makes them look really silly. Because
it's just silly. It's a silly thing to say.
The Europa League holders, Atalanta, they're one of the best teams in Europe. I don't think that's an exaggeration. David Flood writes in saying Atalanta are the top scoring team in Italy. They ended Bayer Leverkusen's record unbeaten run to win the Europa League. Why shouldn't Celtic be happy to deny them on their own patch and come away with a point? If Celtic were better with the ball, they could have scored in the counter. Celtic are in a decent position to qualify with 3 home games to come. That's the thing. Not only did they get a point, it was a clean sheet as well. I think that's, a really important point to make.
Yeah, I agree with every word that was just said there. That's exactly the perfect summation. And yes, our first Champions League clean sheet away from home, on the road in, what did we say, 7 years? Yep. So loads for Celtic to feel good about there. Absolutely loads.
Yeah, and I mean, look, we talked about it a lot last night, but in the comment section today, some of the comments have been sent in. It's Austin Trusty who seems to be getting a lot of the praise. Superb performance in the lads last night. Big Trusty was immense at the back. Barry O'Brien. Trusty was like prime Paul McGrath last night. Absolutely immense. Mark Nicholas Moore says, what an absolutely stunning, outstanding, world-class performance, proving Dortmund was a fluke, and this Celtic team can make the top 8. I don't know about the top 8, Keith, but you look at this, I know we've disagreed with the old stats predictions previously, but I did see on UEFA's website that if Celtic win win 2 games from the remaining 5, they've got a 99% chance of qualifying.
The Boffins say. I mean, to be two wins from 5 games and you're through that, you can't say fairer than that. Yeah, but let's not get ahead of ourselves here, because this is Celtic in the Champions League, and there's a track record here for just when you think things are working out, they've got a nasty habit of coming back and biting you right in the bum. But that doesn't change the fact that what was said since the start, and since we look at the fixture list, that these games, 2 of the remaining 3 home games, look really winnable matches for Celtic against Bruges and Young Boys. And do you know what? If they can take a point, as Scott said last night, if they can take a point against Leipzig, that's not a bad result, even though it's at home. Where are you at that? You're sitting in 4 just now, 5 after Leipzig. Well, if you win the 2 games that we've just talked about, 6, 11 points, well, you're home and hosed. In fact, at that stage, you might even be aiming a little bit higher than just getting into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Moore there in the comment section saying the top 8, and I do think that's maybe a wee bit fanciful, but you never know. I mean, this league section is kind of what's new. Obviously, it's shaping up a bit weird.
And Celtic have been handed a good set of cards, haven't they? It could have been so much worse. So make the most of it. They are making the most of it. And, something I said right at the start, going back to this, before the first ball had been kicked, beat Bratislava, get 3 points in the bag, you might still be sitting on 3 points 3 games in, because Dortmund and the way the Dortmund and Atalanta trips fall. And even if you were sitting in 3 points 3 games in, you're still in a good position. The fact of the matter is Celtic are better than that, 1 point better than that. So, yeah, really, really strong. Really big chance.
Alan McColgan's written in saying, there's nothing gutsy or brave about parking the bus and dragging a half-decent team down to your level. I think someone once called it anti-football. Look, Alan, if you're watching, right, there's no way you believe that. There is absolutely no chance, if you're a football fan, that you actually think that was a rotten performance from Celtic, anti-football. They went away to a team, one of the best in the continent, and got a really respectable point.
Well, you say that, Daniel, right? I remember again, and this is the third time tonight I'm going to bring up Walter Smith's name. I remember on one of these European campaigns, I think they got Barcelona in the Champions League, and it was Messi's favourite, a famous quote after the match. I can't remember, what was it, a 0-0 at Ibrox? And Messi said that this was anti-football. And of course that created such a headline. This is the greatest player in the world, saying that, you know, Rangers are trying to get the game stopped. And I spoke to him about that at the time. I said, what do you make of that, Lionel Messi saying anti-football? He says, well, and I won't use any expletives, but suffice to say, he said, yes, he's right, he's spot on. Was. But he wasn't embarrassed about that. He says, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to open up against that team with Ronaldinho and Xavi? And so he had to come up with, and that's the secret of good management. When you know that you don't have the same quality at your disposal as what's on the other side of that pitch, come up with a way of stifling them, stopping them playing, and getting the result that you need for your team. That's great management.
Yeah. And I think Celtic have been crying out for not only a result like that, the first away point in 7 years, but a performance like that as well. I mean, a lot of people were doubting whether or not Celtic even had that in them under Brendan Rodgers.